to the Dixie Belle YouTube page. My name is Teresa. I am the owner and artisan at NTS Design Co. I come live with you over here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to show you fun painting tutorials. So today I'm going to be showing you how to prep a piece of furniture. And so what I will be doing today is prepping this dresser. And I'm going to show you just kind of step by step on how to get it to be prepared for paint. So as you guys are popping on, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. If this is your first time watching, thank you guys so much for coming over here. If you are a return follower, thank you guys for following again. Okay, so I am going to run through some products that I'm going to be using today. So I've already cleaned this piece in White Lightning, which is a TSP cleaner that Dixie Belle has, and it is a great cleaner that is going to remove all the dirt, the grime, the oils, and it also has a TSP, which is going to degloss your piece of furniture so that it makes it easier for your paint to adhere. When you use that, you're going to mix it with water. You can use it in a bucket, you can use it in a spray bottle, however you want to use it. You spray it on, you wipe off your piece of furniture, and then you're going to want to go back again with that and use some clear water. Hey, Teresa, thank you for watching. Hey, Jeannie, thank you for watching this morning. And so after you get that nice and cleaned, you're gonna wanna let your piece of furniture dry out. Now, what I already did for you guys, hey, Stephanie, hey, Patty, thank you so much for watching. What I did to spare you guys is I already mudded the sides where the damage was and I sanded that back. And so I'll show you on this side. So you can see the spots that I had to apply Dixie mud on the bottom and then I sanded back just to make sure that that is nice and smooth. So I am going to prime that. Forgive me, that is like the world's most awful noise ever. So I'm going to prime that piece of furniture. I already stained the top. I usually don't do that. That's usually my very, very last step is to stain a piece of furniture. But I was staining a piece of furniture already. So I already had the color out and I didn't want to have to like do it again. So I went ahead and I stained the very top of this in espresso. I sanded it back down to bare wood and I used the no paint gel stain in espresso on the top. And then I sealed it with the best stain wax in clear. I typically will do that. I like to do that on areas that I just like that soft feel. It's very pretty and nice. Okay, let me move you guys just a little bit more again so you guys can see all of her. Okay, so I'm not going to have a head. Let me pop you guys back up just a little bit. So what I'm going to do to prepare that is I'm going to use the frog tape in yellow. And that is for no reason other than I just like the yellow. And we are going to tape off these edges, which I'm going to do with you really quick so that way I can prime this piece of furniture and not have to worry about getting primer on my area that's already stained. Now, that is why I like to do that last, because then I don't care. I can get stuff all over the top of it and it doesn't matter. But if you guys don't do that, I'm going to show you how to fix that so you don't. So you're just going to take your frog tape or whatever tape you're going to use, and we are going to, hopefully you guys can see, let me bring it in closer, and then I'll back you guys back up. So what I will do is I will just come in on my edge. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just wanted to get it as close as possible. And we're just going to kind of measure. Nothing crazy. Now this wax and no paint gel stain has been on here for a while. So maybe a couple days. So I'm not worried about pulling or lifting anything, which is also why I like to use the low tack tape, because I don't want to pull up any of the color that I've already applied down. Now I'm not going to push it down all on the edges over here because it really doesn't matter. The only spot that I want to make sure that my tape is like fully secure is just right here on this edge, because you know I'm not going to be applying primer way up there. So, and you can do a little bit of overlap if you want to, and I'm just applying down and making sure that edge is nice and secure. And then I'm going to come this way. I'm just going to add another little piece of tape. So my trick here is, I didn't make it long enough, but what I like to do is add, hold on, let me add this little piece that I need to add right here. So what I like to do, you notice I didn't come all the way to the edge. That's okay, because my next piece is going to overlap that. So now we are just going to measure out. It doesn't have to be perfect, like I said. We're just measuring out how long I need to be. Okay, and then you can come back with a razor and make it super perfect. what I like to do is just, you can use scissors, you can do whatever you want. I will make sure that doesn't go there. All right, we're gonna just fold this over here, and then I am going to just do that right there. Now I'll grab this piece, and what I like to do is work in little sections to get my corners perfect. And hold on one more second. And then I get this little piece right here. I don't know if you guys can see. Hopefully you can. Focus mode. Do you guys hold your breath when you're focusing? I do that a lot. And then I'm just going to take this piece because it's going to overlap, and I'm going to fold it down like underneath it. And then I am all the way to this corner, perfectly taped right there. Okay. And so now I am going to grab my tape, and we are just going to, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It can overlap some because there's a lip, right? So you're going to have the paint underneath or primer underneath your piece. So I'm just rubbing it down where I need it to be, and I'm lining it up so it just overlaps just a smidge. Again, I'm not pressing it all the way back. I'm just coming right to the edge. Okay. And then right here, you can grab scissors or a razor, however you want. I have scissors closer to me, so I'm just going to grab some scissors. And then I'm just going to cut that piece right there. And then that will overlap. And then I can line that right up because I don't want to waste any of my tape, right? Tape's expensive. We don't want to waste any tape. No wasting tape. So then we're just going to grab one more little piece, and then we're good to go. But I wanted to show you guys how to do that. I do get a lot of questions on how to make sure that if you do tape off your top pieces, how to do that. I personally, like I said, I love frog tape the best. It just is my favorite. I've used the blue tape. I feel like sometimes I can get it underneath the blue tape, and I don't really like that. And so I'm just going to come back again and just rub my edges. Now that's done, I'm going to go ahead and put this away where she lives, and then let's get on to the show. All right, so now that this has been sanded, I like to take some clear water. We're going to back up, right, so you guys can see. So I want to get any dust that's on here. It's already been cleaned, so I don't feel the need to go ahead and use white lightning again. I think that'd be a little redundant. It's already been cleaned and sanded and all of the things. I just want to make sure there's no dust on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take just a plain paper towel. This is clear water. There's nothing on here but just clear water. These are the water misting bottles that Dixie Belle sells. I just broke that one. And this is why I have 9 million of them, because I drop them all the time. But we're just going to take our clear water, and we're just going to wipe back any dust that might be on there. And this is just going to make sure anything from in my shop, because I do sand a lot in my shop. I'm going to bring you guys down just a little bit now that I'm sitting. I wanted to see, you see all the other furniture that I'm working on right now. Busy, busy, busy. All right, and then we're going to bring you down. Okay, so then I'm just taking that clear water on just a plain paper towel and just getting off any dust that may have settled on it from other projects or sanding, because I am sanding that little piece over there, so it does carry over a little bit. And we're just going to wipe it down. Okay, and now that that's nice and wiped down, I'm going to show you guys how I get the inside of my drawers nice and clean. So I'm going to grab this guy, and the inside of this is pretty yucky. So, but what I like to do is get this part nice and clean. And so what I do with this is I will take my sander, and I will sand this edge, this side edge, and this bottom edge. And sometimes you get old pieces of furniture, and so a lot of the times the tracks will be rough. So you can sand your tracks nice and smooth. Okay, and then if need be, I will also come in and sand these areas here. You can use a Dixie Belle sanding sponge, and you can just come in here and just give it like a little once over, just to make sure that it's nice and smooth, and you can run your tracks like that. You're gonna grab your sanding sponge and you're gonna run these tracks to make sure they're nice and smooth. And then of course, since we just sanded and got dust everywhere, we're gonna take our water on our paper towel and we're just gonna wipe back just to make sure that there's no dust that's gonna get inside of our primer. Now that I've done that, I'm only going to do one drawer, don't worry. So I like to use the Big Mama's butter. You can use whatever smell you want. I like to use the orange because it's very clean and crisp smelling, and it just and it works really well for me. Okay, and this is just not anything fancy. I'm definitely not going to use a Dixie Belle brush on this to get it in the drawers because I don't want to do that. So this is just a cheapy brush, and you can tell that I clearly use this a lot. So I just am going to dab in there, okay? We're going to take our brush. I'm going to run it on the inside, wherever the drawer rubs, okay? Wherever your drawer is going to rub your wood, you want to make sure that you have that Big Mama's butter on there because it's going to provide like a lubricant so that your drawers are going to glide nicely. I sell all my furniture. I want my furniture to smell yummy. I want it to be clean, and I want it to properly function. So I will do all of the things to make sure that that happens. And like I said, we will definitely sand all of our edges. We will make sure everything runs nice and smoothly so that I have happy customers and they love what I'm doing. I sell all my furniture in a booth space, so I like to make sure that everything in there aligns with the place that I sell at, okay? And so then again, we're just gonna come in here, come all the way on these sides, wherever. And this is conditioning that wood, right? This wood is thirsty, it is old. You can see the difference. It's very old and thirsty. All right. If you are restoring a piece of furniture, you can also do this too to that piece of furniture. That will make it amazing and very happy. So I'm just going to empty out what's in there on the floor. I'm going to turn my drawer over. Okay. I'm going to grab my sanding sponge again, and I'm just going to very lightly give it a good little sand right here on these drawer glides. Okay. That's going to catch any little like wood fibers, any like sharp pieces. Okay. I'm going to grab my paper towel that's wet. Careful. You can get a splinter, or you can also give yourself a wood cut. Wood is sharp. I have sliced my fingers on wood more times than I can count. It is not a fun feeling. All right. So it's like a paper cut times 10. You're going to grab your brush and you're going to grab your Big Mama's butter, and then you're going to glide these tracks. I'm going to come on the inside, the outside, just until it looks nice. Can you see the difference? Like dry and sad, happy and nourished, right? It is very happy. Also, I will do right here. Like I said, anywhere your drawer is going to rub, you want to make sure that you put that Big Mama's butter on. And then you can also come in here. I will probably paint these, so I'm not going to do that. But if you don't paint the inside of your drawer sides, you can go ahead and do that there as well to make sure that there's no friction. Okay. I sand the sides down to accommodate for that friction because when you're adding primer and paint, you're adding more layers. So I will take my sander and shave down the sides so that it accommodates and it doesn't rub and it doesn't stick. And that also makes sure that when you are opening and closing your drawers, there's minimal paint chipping. It's going to wear, of course, but that does help minimize that. So again, I'm just going to grab up here, and then so you guys can see, we're just going to come all the way down inside of our drawer tracks. And this stuff does smell really good. I love doing this. Cleaning day is not my favorite, but I love the way that my shop smells afterwards because it smells nice and fresh and like crisp and clean. Okay, so that's drawer number 1. Okay, like I said, I'm only going to do one with you guys because you just watch me do one, so you don't need to watch me do the other ones. All right, I'm going to place this over here in just a second. Let me just set that down. Okay, and now we are going to pick back up our drawer. I will clean the inside of this. See how gross that is? I'll take the white lightning and scrub that out with a brush, but I will do that later. I almost put my sponge in there. Okay, so now I'm going to set this in here, and then I'm going to open and close my drawer a couple of times. And what that's going to do is it's going to lubricate my edges, and it's going to make sure and ensure that all that product is getting exactly where I want it. Okay, now let's pretend I had hardware on there. So now see how smooth that opens in comparison to this one. Doesn't really want to open. It's kind of janky, right? So that's much better. And this, when you're opening a drawer, says, oh, I'm refurbished. I'm happy. Please buy me. This one says, there's something wrong with me. I'm going to complain and try to get a discount because the drawer doesn't work. Because they will. All right. So now let me move all my stuff over here and out of the way. And then we will go ahead and I will prime this piece of furniture with you. All right. Get that out of the way. All right. And if you are going to be cleaning the inside of your drawers after you use soap and water and you make sure that it gets nice and clean, however you're going to clean them, I like to use the Dixie Belle applicator pads. If their drawers are really bad, what I will do is I will stain them. I will stain them the same color that I stained the tops so that the inside of the drawers are nice and fresh. I will lay those drawers out. I will not put them back in the dresser. I lay them out in my shop for about a week and make sure that that your stain can cure, okay? Because you don't want to put them back in here because airflow can't get in here. I will also turn my shop fan on here and add circulation into my shop. Or if it's hot, I have air conditioning in here too. So that way you're making sure that they are drying out. And then when you are done doing that, you can take an applicator pad and you can clean the inside of your drawers out with Big Mama's butter, but you want to make sure that after you do that, you go in with a clean, dry cloth and re-wipe all of that out, because the Big Mama's butter is oil and it's a dresser. I'm going to put my clothes in here, right? So there's nothing worse than buying a beautiful dresser and putting your things in there and then they have oil stains in there, or heaven forbid, I put a white shirt in there and I've got an oil stain, or even worse, the stain came off because it lifted out. So you want to make sure that you accommodate for proper cure time and really make sure that you go over it thoroughly to ensure that your product is going to be the best quality that you can make it be, because people will come back and complain. If I bought a dresser and I put clothes in it and it was ruined, I'd be really upset. So you just want to make sure that you're doing the things correctly. So hopefully those are some good tips for you guys on prep for that. And again, these Dixie Belle applicator pads, they come in 2 packs. I love them. I use them on everything. I use them for stain. I use them for wax. I use them for cleaning. They're very versatile. They're one of my favorite products that I do use. Okay, so now this is the color that I will be applying. Now, the Silk All-in-One paint does have priming capabilities and top coating capabilities. Now, I know I sell on my furniture, so I like my safety net. And so my safety net is primer. So this piece, when I did clean it, pulled orange. And what that is that's bleed through. So bleed through is the tannins in the wood coming through. And so you want to make sure that you protect your piece of furniture from that. And what I like to do, since again, I sell my furniture and I don't want the bleed through to come through later, is I'm just going to prime it. That's my safety net. I want to prime things. I love to use the Dixie Belle's Gray Boss. It is my favorite out of all of the primers. And how I know I want to use the Gray Boss, again, is because there were tannins in the wood that pulled through, and I don't want to take that chance of it bleeding through on my paint. You may not notice it on your paint, but heaven forbid you top coat this piece and it starts to pull through. Or you put it in your booth space, or even worse, a client buys it and then it starts to come through weeks or even a month later, because the sun may hit it and it may pull through. So that can happen. So what I like to do is I have a very old Dixie Belle Mini. You can see it is very loved. And this is what I like to apply my primers with. I have one that's just strictly for top coat, and I also have one that is just for primer. You do not need to do that. I personally like to use a good brush for my primer, so that way I can make sure that it's going on nice and smooth. And so what I like to do, it is a very runny product, okay? So you're going to want to make sure that you don't apply a ton at a time, because it will drip, it will run, it'll do all the things, and you'll be sad. So I will do 2 to 3 coats of primer. I paint very light-handed, and I don't want to make sure that I get drips, okay? Because then you have to take a razor blade and scrape it back, and then you have to sand it, and then you have to prime it again, and it's just extra steps that I don't wanna do. So like I said, I like to come ahead and I will prime my piece of furniture very thinly. And so again, I don't have a lot of primer on there. There's not a lot of product. I'm gonna come up underneath here first because you wanna paint the underside because when you're gonna see that. And so I will come up under here and add just a little bit more. And then I just take it and I push it on my sides of my jar and make sure that it's not gonna run. All right, and then it is very thin. Like I said, you're gonna be able to see through it, and that's okay. This is just coat 1, I'm laying my product down. Coat 2 is gonna give me more coverage, and then coat number 3, I'm gonna treat spot areas that look like A, needed more because there was bleed through, or B, it just wasn't thick enough for me to feel comfortable to paint over. Okay, so now, and I am painting with the drawers in. When I am not live, I can paint with them out, but for live purposes, I paint with them in because you don't want to watch me paint with them down on the floor. All right, and then we're just gonna come in. Again, it is very runny, as you can see, and we are just coming like that. And I am grabbing here, and you can see where it's starting to drip already. So, and then you can pounce it on there to get in all these little crevices. This I'll be applying some like pretty wax or Dixie dirt or any of the things to make it, to pop those pretty details, because this did have really pretty details on it. This dresser actually had like a box that went on top of it, but I took it off. I just dripped some on the floor. All right, and so I'm just gonna pounce it in these little crevices and then just paint over it. Very little. And then we're just gonna smooth it out. And then again, now we're gonna come on the bigger part of the dresser so I can use a little bit more product. What I like to do is I will start and stuff my product right there on the edge, and then I will spread it out. You never wanna start over here because it's gonna goop all into your edges and it's gonna run. So you can apply some in the middle, like I did, and then thin out your product. So you can paint any which way to get whatever, however you want to get your product on there. You can do whatever you want. But my last finishing strokes are going to be very light-handed, and I'm very, very, very lightly just going to make sure that it's evenly spread. Okay? I grab just a little bit more. I'm going to come in over here. You never want to like seep it in here because it can go behind and it can drip. If you're concerned about that, you can take some of that tape the back of your holes. If you're new to painting and you're not sure and you don't want to get those drips in the back of your drawers, just pull your drawers out and just throw some tape over it, and then that way it won't go in there. That's just a little trick that you can do. All right, and then I am going up and down. I do paint both ways because I want to ensure that it is getting everywhere and spread nice and thinly and evenly. And then I'll come back and I'll take some of that product. You can spread your product out as easily as you want. It does not, it goes a long way. All right, perfect. That's drawer 1. Now we'll go to drawer 2. All right, again, I'm going to apply some in that middle area. Get just a little bit more. And up and down. We're going to spread that product out as much as we can. Nice and thin, even strokes. So you'll notice when I'm painting, I'm using my brush more this way, but when I'm spreading it out, I will very lightly have a very light grip on my piece or on my brush. And it doesn't take very long to prime a piece of furniture. It is definitely a step that I always do. It just makes me happy and I feel safe. All right, so this is always what my first coat of primer looks like. It will be very thin, it will be very sparse. I signed porch boards about it. Oh, you should totally do it, Angela. Go to Goodwill and get like a little side table that's like $10, $15 or something, or you can ask your friends for furniture that they don't want anymore and just practice because it's just paint. So if you don't like it, you can just repaint over it. It's not that scary, I promise. It's not scary. All right, so we're gonna come on again in our middle and we're just gonna spread that product out. If I'm missing your comments, I will go back and catch them. I'm sorry. All right, and you don't want it to drip. I will show you the last drawer, the like actual speed that I do go in and not like tutorial speed, just so you can see the difference. And when you use your Dixie mud, you kind of always want to prime over it because it's water-based and sometimes your paint can reactivate that. So when you are using your Dixie mud, make sure that you always prime over it. And I can tell you right here, there's some bleed through because it's starting to change color. I'll show you more on the side because I sanded through the coating and you'll be able to see that a little bit better. Okay, so we are going to spread nice and thin, up and down. Okay. And now I'm gonna do this last drawer in like the speed that I normally go in. Let me grab my foam pad. I have a foam pad that's very, very dense foam that I sit on because I don't like to sit on the floor. I like to sit on this pad because it hurts your butt. All right, so let me just drop you guys down just a smidge so you can see, okay? And then we'll do the sides. So now I will just paint how I normally would and you guys can see the difference on how quick it goes when you are just doing it. And you'll get there, you can go. I do paint kind of fast. And it is thin. It sounds like I'm beating the snot out of this dresser. Molding. I don't want to forget that. The edges. And then we're going to grab over here. Just a little bit more. And you'll know how much product you want to use and you'll get the feel for that. Okay, and then we want to make sure we get this bottom piece. Again, we're going to get up underneath it. And I'm just going to and that's the front. Ta-da! So, you know, not very long it doesn't take to do that. Now I'm going to slide this piece so that I can get the side for you. Move my pad. This dresser's kind of stout. She's a little heavy. So, perfect where I'm going to show you an example of bleed through because it's going to do it. Okay, let me bring you guys back. And right about there. Okay. Ouch, my hip just popped. Okay, so right here, it's going to look different than it's going to on the other spot because that is exposed wood. I think my earbud just died. Oh, there it goes. That was weird. My earbud like went quiet for a second. Okay. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I don't know why my earbud just did that. All right. I know you guys can't see the top. Okay, hopefully, I think someone said I can hear you. Thank you. Yes, we can hear you. Okay, thank you, Teresa. My daughter, she has her iPad, and sometimes the earbuds will connect to her iPad, but I didn't hear anything. But it was weird because it like went quiet and then it like reconnected again. So thank you. I have problems. I don't use shellac, overexposed MDF, water-based primer, or paint. We can hear you. Perfect. Thank you. Shellac is a great product, definitely. I will definitely use that over MDF because MDF bloats. And so an oil-based product like that will work pretty good. I guess if you're doing that, and to not paint anything that's MDF just because it is such a pain in the tail. I typically will paint solid wood pieces, mostly antiques, and I definitely have a certain style that I like to paint. This is a custom, and I am sanding what looks like 900 years because she wants the entire thing sanded back and restained a different color. So I will be using the Dixie Belle walnut on that because that's the color she picked. And we will be replacing hardware and caster wheels. So it'll be really pretty once it's finished. But I rather paint furniture. I used to restore a lot of furniture. Restoring furniture is a time suck because all of the sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding. So painting's more fun for me. All right, we're just gonna go ahead. I know you can't see the very top, but it's basically the same thing. And then I wanna show you, I'm gonna give that some time to do its thing, and you'll see what I'm talking about when the tannins are coming through and why it is important to prime your piece of furniture. Grab that edge. So the sides are a little different when you're priming than versus the drawers because there's more space. So I do it just a little bit differently. So I will take my product and I'll throw it in the middle. And I will, the same thing, I will come this way and then nice even strokes up and down very lightly. But I work a lot faster too because I don't want it to start to dry on me. And then it'll start pulling, and that's how you can get your brush strokes. Okay. Grab this because I will forget. I'm just grabbing my legs. The front feet I'm going to do raw wood and stain. So now I'm going to show you guys. Let me grab my lid. I'll stick this in the bag so I can get the other side here in a minute. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, so let's bring you down. Okay, so this is where it's just painted, right? Or excuse me, primed, and it doesn't, it's just streaky, okay? So your second coat will be fine. Now, what your bleed through is gonna look, I made paper too. Awesome. Okay, I'm reading your comments, sorry. Do you see how this is a different color right here? Like it's pulling through brown orange. So that's what bleed through is gonna look like. And down here, sorry, Patty, I'm sorry. All right, so see down here how it's pulling a different color? That's because I sanded all the way back to the raw wood and the tannins are starting to pull through. Okay, so that is going to be a different color. So that means that that needs another coat of primer so that it looks like this and not like that. Okay, I just got primer on my nails. Do the same as primer. Kills is a good primer. I just obviously use Dixie Belle because I am a content creator for Dixie Belle, so I just use all Dixie Belle products. But yeah, you can use whatever primer you want. It's gonna just make sure that when you are using your primer, that when it does look like this area right here, stop touching it, that you wanna add extra coats to that. Like I would not just paint over this. I will definitely, like I said, I do up to 3 coats. Sometimes 46, I'm kidding, depending on areas. And one other thing too, here's another tip. So Dixie Belle sells clear Boss. I use the gray when I'm painting, but heaven forbid I get thin on an area or I miss it. And my upcycling life makes it so easy. Upcycling is so fun. I enjoy it. So when you are using your clear Boss, you can definitely use Clear Boss if you want to. It's going to do the same exact thing. But what I like to use my Clear Boss for is, say I painted this white, okay? And I know that it's already having a problem. So I'm going to add my 3 coats, my 2 coats definitely real thick, and then I'm going to spot treat in my other areas. And say a piece bled through a little bit after I top coated it and it just wasn't enough. And I'm going to look at it and go, what do I do now? I just painted this entire piece of furniture. I don't want to have to start all over again. Well, good news. With the Clear Boss, you can spot treat with it because it's clear. So you can just paint your Clear Boss over that area, and you can do like 1 or 2 coats of that Clear Boss just in that spotted area, really thin. Okay, and then you can just put your paint back over it. Now, it should fix the problem. If it doesn't, you can go back and add more Clear Boss as needed. But, so I just wanted to let you guys know that that is not like an end all be all if you painted a piece of furniture and it had bleed through on it, so you don't have to strip it back and do all the things. Again, you can add your Clear Boss on top of that already painted and top coated area and make, because all the products are water-based, so they, even if you've waxed it, you can still do the same thing. You can just go ahead over it because yes, all the water-based products play nice together. That is the great thing about the Dixie Belle paint line. It is very versatile, it is very user-friendly, and they play well nicely together, which I really enjoy that aspect of it. And as you can see, this is getting darker as we speak. My lights are really bright, so it's pulling lighter, but if you could see off camera, it is pulling more brown. And so this will need another coat or 2 or 3, just depending on those areas. So I already know I'm gonna put a full coat on here, and then my 3rd coat, I'm gonna just spot treat those areas to see. Do you sand between coats of Boss? No, I do not. I want the Boss to do its job. So since I paint so thinly, I'm not getting brush strokes. It looks streaky, but it's very thinly painted. So I don't use, I don't sand between coats of Boss ever because I want the primer to do its job. If I'm sanding it, I'm breaking that barrier and it's gonna allow the same thing to happen. So it's kind of redundant. So you just wanna make sure that you're getting that on there. Now, if there's an area that I do feel like needs to be sanded because it has a brush stroke or a drip or things like that, then of course I will spot treat that area. But in general, I don't sand between coats. I sand between coats of paint, but I do that very, very like wispy, like psh, 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 with a sanding sponge and one that's been used a lot. I missed your comment and I don't know how to get it back. Okay. Heaven forbid. Okay. So that's that. This is this area right here. Like I said, the feet on her, I'm going to strip and I'm going to stain the same color as the top. I'm going to turn this piece of furniture around so you guys can see the front of it. All right, and then I'm gonna pop you guys back up. All right, and then the edge. Oh, let me show you how I get the edges. I forgot about that. That was the whole purpose of me showing you and taping this. Okay, let me pull you up just a little bit more. Can you use Boss to prime outdoor wrought iron furniture? Metal, I would use Slick Stick. So Slick Stick is gonna be for metal, glass. Slick Stick is an adhesion primer. If you're painting metal, you're not gonna get bleed through. Bleed through is more of a tannin on a wood issue. So I would use the Dixie Belle Slick Stick, which is an adhesion primer. How long do you wait to do the next coat of Boss? Since I paint so thin, about an hour, 2 hours, about that. And then I will leave it be overnight after I do my 2 coats on there. And then I will go back because I want it to really cure and not just kind of dry. And then I will go back and paint my 3rd coat the next day. And then a couple hours later, you can feel free to go ahead and paint your product. All right, so now, since I showed you this, I'm gonna take my thumb and I'm just gonna very lightly go over that area, pull you in so you can see. All right, we're gonna grab, what was on the bottom of that? Okay. We're gonna grab our Boss and I'm gonna just wipe off really well. I don't wanna lob it on there, okay? Now, since I'm not gonna paint up, right, because there's tape here. So what I will do is I will match it to the edge. All right. I'm not worried about the bottom part. I'm just gonna get right there. And then you can paint a nice crisp line with a Dixie Belle Mini. That is one of my favorite things about the minis. And you can go slow, you can go fast, however you want to go. I like to just take my time and spread out that product. Again, there's like such little product on here, and I'll just come down here to offload some of it. Okay, offload some more. When my edge is here, I'm not going to paint this way because it will drip. Paint away from your edge, okay? That's going to ensure that it's going to drip back. And the same when I'm coming here, I always paint away from my edge. And then I very lightly will paint down and just kind of like flick my brush. Okay, so there's that. This is going to give me a nice clean line. I will do 2 coats of this, and then that will protect my top. So when I decide to do what I did today, which is stain my top very beautifully, and I don't want to ruin it, I will tape it off with that. And you can even see underneath where I didn't get it all the way, and that's fine too. And I will leave that on there until I get my paint on there, because it's not getting underneath here and it's not blobbing up. So hopefully, you guys, that was a good tutorial for you, and you now know how to take care of your piece of furniture and use your primers accordingly. Like I said, for slicker surfaces, metal, glass, or a really slick piece of wood, you can use your slick stick. And for any kind of bleed-through primers or anything like that, any bleed-through wood, anything that you're concerned about painting light over, you're gonna definitely use your Dixie Belle Boss. I use the gray. They have gray, white, and clear, so it comes in 3 different colors. Very versatile for whatever your needs are going to be. So thank you guys so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. I will see you guys next Wednesday right here at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me on all social media platforms. I am NTS Design Co. and my name is Teresa Lee. Thank you, Dixie Belle, for having me. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Thank you.